Les rogamos tomar asiento, así podemos dar inicio.
Please have a seat so we can start this session of the Council. Thank you.
Buenos días. Quiero dar la bienvenida.
Good morning. I would like to welcome the Council members and alternates, as well as IRENA members and states in accession present here in Abu Dhabi, and also those who are joining us virtually. My name is Fitzgerald Candero Piari. I'm National Director of Energy of Uruguay, and it's a great pleasure to be here today, being the chair of this council. In item 1 of the provisional agenda of this meeting, declare open the 24th meeting of the Council of International Renewable Energy Agency. I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Francesco La Camera, Director General of the Secretariat, for the continuous assistance of the last Council meeting, as well as to the host country, the United Arab Emirates, for their hospitality and for facilitating the necessary arrangements towards convening this Council meeting. Before proceeding, I would like to inform you that the media intends to cover the opening of this 24th meeting of the Council. If we all agree, we can allow their entrance. I now invite the Council to turn to item 2 of the agenda of the election of officials. According to Rule 15 of the Rules of Procedure of the Council, the Council shall elect a chair and vice chair from amongst its membership with due regard to equitable geographical representation. As in its 23rd meeting in May 2022, the Council designated Uruguay as chair and Norway as vice chair of the 24th meeting of the Council. Do I take it that the Council wishes to elect Uruguay as chair and Norway as vice chair of the 24th meeting of the Council of IRENA? If there aren't any observations, we shall proceed. It is so decided. Before I address the Council, I would like to turn to the appointment of the rapporteur. Rule 18 of the Rules of Procedure requires that the chair proposes to a member of the Council to act as rapporteur. I would like to inform the Council that we have proposed Somalia to act as rapporteur, and I am pleased that Somalia has accepted this responsibility. If we all agree with this proposal, it is my pleasure to declare Somalia assumes the responsibility as rapporteur of the 24th meeting of the Council. I would like to thank Somalia for accepting this position, and I'm looking forward to working with them in finalizing the report of this meeting. Now that the full bureau of the 24th meeting of the Council is elected, I would like to say a few words to give some context to our meeting today and tomorrow. I'm going to do it from the podium. Dear DG, distinguished delegates, as I have said, it's an honor to be the chair of the 24th meeting of the Council of IRENA representing Uruguay. I would like to give a warm welcome to all the delegations and also to thank the United Arab Emirates for their hospitality. From Uruguay, we are assigning high priority to IRENA because the generation of the electric energy as from renewable energies constitutes, in our case, almost 100%. The region of Latin America and the Caribbean where we belong, also has a strong commitment with renewable energies. We are convinced that IRENA should continue leading the penetration of these energies all around the world. We have regions where the access to the use of modern energy is lacking, with high levels of energy poverty. We have central regions that today are going through an energy crisis that is unprecedented, and we had other regions where the renewables predominate. The answer to all these regions are renewable energies. The solutions to mitigate that energy poverty will come from renewables. Of the current crisis will also come from renewable energies. And those who already are, we are in that path. We're going to continue walking together. For this, it is essential, even in those countries that are at the forefront, because we also need to count with the technical support to keep on strengthening our capacities and to be able to achieve to funds that develop projects beyond the economic indicators. Hope that IRENA continues leading the discussions to ensure the progress in the global energy transition through the analysis and recommendations, convening all of us to exchange our experience and lessons learned. At the same time, we cannot allow that the current energy crisis means a slashback in the achievements obtained at a level in the use of renewable energies. Having alternative energy sources is always a challenge that leads us to renovate the commitment in the use of renewable energies as a sure and affordable resource. We should also make a strong call to the financial sector to continue strengthening and stimulating sustainability, flexibilizing their credits for the different works that they have as a basis, circular economy and renewables. An example is what the rating and investment information has done, that elevated the note of my country from BBB to BBB plus with a stable perspective. Based on this decision, that over 90% of electric generation is us from renewable energies, and for the efforts for avoiding emissions and to development of green hydrogen. We also have other challenges at the global level, like developing energy efficiency, a principle that is part of this organization. We have the need to decarbonize our economies, making a strong bet to the sectors of industry and transport. And this last one, electric mobility is essential in this transition, and the green hydrogen is of common use. This vector, green hydrogen, is making us, many countries, work really hard, and IRENA really having this role as leader, and it's our responsibility as members to strengthen this role in our decisions. Under this spirit, we have continued to consider all the items in the agenda in this session, and from the presidency of this council, we hope to have a fruitful, efficient debate towards our objective. Thank you. To continue, it's a pleasure to invite Francesco La Camera, DG of IRENA, for some welcoming remarks. You have the floor, sir.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of welcoming you to the 23rd meeting of the Council in our host city of Abu Dhabi. I am also delighted that so many of you are here in person, and I warmly welcome those participating virtually. Together, we have over 400 registered delegates, representing 104 members and 8 other countries participating in the Council meeting. These numbers are a testimony to the importance of international cooperation in tackling some of the greatest challenges of our time and the relevance of IRENA mandate. I would also like to welcome Papua New Guinea, the latest new member of IRENA, the 168th member of our agency. Let me also express sincere gratitude to Uruguay, represented by His Excellencies Mr. Fitzgerald Cantero, National Director of Energy, and Norway, represented by His Excellencies Mr. Stein and Rosnes, Ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, and permanent representatives, for your work and continuous leadership this year. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the past couple of years have exposed the weakness and the vulnerabilities of a system heavily reliant on the fuel of the 20th century. To this, the crisis in Ukraine brings new levels of concern and uncertainty, revealing the cost to economies and everyday lives entwined with fossil fuels. The turmoil in the energy sector reminds us of the formidable challenges that we are facing. Countries must simultaneously respond to the immediate struggles surrounding energy security, the abundantly evident impacts of climate change, and the shrinking timeline to 2030 by which the Sustainable Development Agenda needs to be realized. Today, we are staring into a terrifying abyss of irreversible climate consequences if we fail to act. Together, these are daunting tasks, and this is where renewable energy comes in a multiplier solution, available today for a rapid scale-up. We can say this confidently, as IRENA's breadth of activities give us a unique lens through which to view transitions in all corners of the world. And something we see clearly. First, technology solutions to take us to 2030 exist, and most are already cost-effective. Even more so, the high and unpredictable cost of fossil fuels. The cost of solar and wind fell again in 2021, and we see similar trend across all renewables and enabling technologies such as storage. In turn, deployment trends favorable renewables with 81% of addition in 2021, leaving fossil fuel and nuclear combined below the 20%. IRENA found that these renewables, new renewable capacity added in 2021 could reduce electricity generation cost in 2022 by at least 55 billion of US dollars. This is a compelling fact amid concern around energy prices and the security of supply. Second, technology solutions are important, but only one part of the story. Our world energy transition outlook shows that we must look at all energy puzzle pieces simultaneously. Markets have to adapt to new realities, transitioning from conventional centralized power generation. This topic is high on the global agenda, and we will share some pioneering work IRENA has done on the subject later today. Policy frameworks need to look beyond technology development and deployment, as with the right policies in place must be achieved. IRENA's jobs report, released a few weeks ago, showed that 700,000 jobs were added in 2021, bringing the global total to almost 13 million. And we estimate that 85 million jobs can be created by 2030. And the advent of green hydrogen can open vast industrialization opportunities in renewables-rich countries. But we also see that these benefits do not come on their own, but we target investment and foresight and holistic policy making. And this is where we see great disparity in the pace of change and the ability of countries to be part of shaping the energy future. the longest strides have been made in handful countries and regions. For example, in 2021, out of 257 gigawatts of new renewable capacity, Europe, US, and China accounted for almost 200 gigawatts. Another measure we see is investment. Out of nearly trillions invested in renewables since 2000, only 60 billion went to Africa, the continent with immense renewable potential, the greatest development needs. We understand where the problems lie, but we need to have a fresh look at how to change this reality and be bold and innovative in approaches and strategies. And this is where IRENA can and must play a critical role. You created this agency with a positive, solution-oriented mandate. It is unlikely that the founders of IRENA even imagined where we will be in 2022. But their conviction of the vast opportunity offered by renewable energy gives a different outlook to the challenges we face today. We have an established platform for international cooperation, equipped with reliable and comprehensive knowledge, direct links with countries and broad partnership. And this global platform only grows stronger. Since our last meeting in May, Papua New Guinea joined IRENA, bringing the membership to 167 countries, and the EU, with 16 states in accession. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, during this meeting, you will consider a range of programmatic and institutional matters to assess progress to date and guide the next steps. This will include IRENA's 5-year strategy, which will shape our footprint from 2023 to 2027. In this room, we are all actually aware of how consequential this period is for the development and climate agendas. But this will happen only with your deep involvement in shaping the agency's work and active participation in implementing this program. Together, we can make IRENA an engine of global energy transition that lives to the promise of leaving no one behind. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Director General.
Thank you very much, Director General. I would like to thank you all for the trust that you have placed upon us, and I'm looking forward to a collaboration to ensure a successful outcome of this meeting. And I invite the Council to treat point 2B of the provisional agenda, adoption of the agenda. The provisional agenda is contained in document C24L1. I would like to remind the Council members and IRENA membership that a proposal was circulated by Uruguay to include the item proposed establishment of IRENA of a regional office in Singapore under agenda item 13. So, do I take it that the Council wishes to adopt the agenda of its 24th meeting of the document in C24L1, including this item under any other businesses? If so is the case, it is so decided. I would like to remind delegations that our meeting today is expected to end at 5:30 p.m. Abu Dhabi time. However, we may extend it as needed for no more than 30 minutes. Have interesting discussions ahead of us. The Vice Chair, Stern Ernest Rose, and I are determined to make the most of the Council's time and to facilitate engaging discussions on all matters contained in the agenda for this meeting. In this regard, I would like to kindly remind all delegations to make brief and targeted interventions of a limit of 3 minutes. A timer will be displayed on the screen to indicate to delegations the allocated time for their interventions. After this time is exceeded, On the 4th minute, a bell will remind the speakers to conclude. In this way, the Council will be able to hear as many views and interventions from delegations as possible. I will give the floor first to the Council members, followed by the Council alternates, and then the rest of the membership. Before we take up today's agenda items, I would like to say a few words on the technical aspects of the meeting. As we have participants joining the Council meeting through a virtual platform, if it's not possible for a member to intervene due to an unstable connection, I will move to the next speaker while we address the technical difficulties and make sure that all requests for the floor are addressed during the meeting today. I would also like to inform members that simultaneous interpretation into 6 UN official languages is provided. Can I inform the Secretariat either using the chat function available on this virtual platform or in plenary at the Secretariat desk if any assistance is needed in this regard. We move on to point 2C, adoption of the report of the 23rd meeting of the Council. I now invite the Council to turn its attention to item 2C, adoption of the report of the 23rd meeting of the Council. Pursuant to Rule 49 of the Rules of Procedures, reports of Council meetings shall not be official until approved by the Council. The Council has before its document C23 as RL1, draft report of the 23rd meeting of the Council. I take it that the Council approves the report of the 23rd meeting of the Council. I hear no objections. It is so decided. Item 3, and a report of the Director General on the implementation of the work program and budget for 2022-2023. I would like to propose that we take up item 3 of the agenda, the annual report of the Director General on the implementation of the work program and budget 2024-2023 as item 4, reports of collaborative frameworks. As these are matters pertaining to the implementation of the work program and budget 2022-2023. After the Council has heard the reports, I will open the floor for interventions. And I invite the Council to turn to agenda item 3 and a report of the Director General on the implementation of the work program and budget for 2022-2023. The Council has before it a document with the same title contained in C24-2. Please also refer the report of the Chair of the Program and Strategy Committee as set out in C24 CRP1. Please also refer to the report of the Chair of the Administration and Finance Committee contained in document C24 CRP2 revision 1. It gives me pleasure to invite Director General to introduce the annual report on the implementation of the work program and budget for 2022-2023. Director General, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing the annual report of the implementation of IRENA's work program. Let me share a few thoughts on the program implementation over the past 10 months. As I noted in my opening remarks, recent developments in the energy landscape have confirmed that IRENA missions remain both foresight and indispensable. The world is in great turmoil, with the energy sector being a key contributor to the daily struggle. Countries continue to fight the effects of the pandemic on the community and economies, aggravated by the crisis in Ukraine. The rising energy costs are putting enormous pressure on the budget of individual households and national treasury alike. Moreover, bottlenecks in supply chain are having ripple effects across the global economy. In the midst of all of this, the raging effect of climate change are witnessed around the world, from deadly floods in Pakistan to hurricanes in the Caribbean and the US, from extreme heat waves across Europe to drought in Somalia and in China. Business as usual is not longer an option. The energy policies and investments supporting fossil fuels belong to a bygone era. But the question remains whether we will act quickly and decisively to curb the worst effect of climate change and deliver on the commitments to people, planet and prosperity by 2030. Evidence from the last decade demonstrates that we are moving in the right direction, but we are not moving fast enough. This year, IRENA's World Energy Transition Outlook focused on 2030 to make it a practical tool for policymakers, given the pressure to deliver on development and climate commitment within the shrinking timeline. It is abundantly clear that a renewable-based energy transition should be at the center of any strategy, and we are to realize our global climate and development goals. With your support, we made a concerted effort to make the knowledge we produce live through direct work with countries in their NDCs, multilateral fora, including with Germany and Indonesia as presidents of the G7 and G20 respectively, and many partners from different various areas of work. And I'm pleased to inform you that we had our first investment forum in Bali as part of the G20 agenda, and we will share more details with you today. We are preparing for the second forum in Algeria. We hope to bring more results to the upcoming COP27 in Egypt. We have been working directly with the presidency in support of their agenda. We are also collaborating closely with our host country, the UAE, the president-designate of COP28, to use the important milestone of the first global stocktake as a catalyst for our shared vision of a renewable-based energy transition. Let me also thank you for your strong participation in the work of the agency, most notably in the collaborative frameworks. We understand the level of time and focused arrangements that this asks of members, but we reap the benefit of this commitment. To mention a couple of examples, the report on geopolitics of hydrogen was the first output of the collaborative framework, and we continue to see evidence of the impact of this work. Another recent example comes from the hydropower collaborative framework, which helped shape an insightful and interesting conference that took place in Switzerland, a co-facilitator of this framework. As you know, we have launched a new stream of work with the collaborative framework on critical materials. We continue to expand our work on these issues and supply chain in general to stay abreast of this topical and evolving area. For instance, at the recent Clean Energy Ministerial in Pittsburgh, countries launched a new initiative on solar supply chains, and together with our colleague from the International Solar Alliance, we will provide institutional leadership to the initiative. So we welcome your idea and feedback on how to make collaborative framework even more available and effective. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, I will pass the floor to the directors to provide highlights of the work undertaken in their respective areas of responsibility. So with your permission, I will give the floor to Dr. Gillen, please.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, IRENA Innovation and Technology Center continues to aim for analytical excellence. Let me briefly mention 4 priority areas of work. First, the provision of knowledge products. In this context, recent deliverables include the annual flagship costing report, Scenarios for energy transition experience and best practices in Latin America and the Caribbean. Report on China's route for carbon neutrality, innovation outlook, renewable ammonia, as well as comprehensive hydrogen trade analysis trilogy, amongst others. 2 reports on enabling frameworks for hydrogen are currently being completed for the German G7 presidency. The findings will be discussed later today, and 3 workshops have been organized in this context. A second priority is the provision and application of tools that help members in their decision-making. It includes, for example, the Flex tool version 3.0, which is now in beta version and deployed in the UAE with new power system planning capability. IRENA has been working as a modeling partner for Ouda NEPAD in support of the Continental Africa Electricity Master Plan project, and in July organized the first CMP training in Addis, and as well as a second training in August in Cairo, and a third one will take place in Bonn in December. Second phase of Central Africa Regional Model Analysis and Planning Support, focusing on the regional electricity trade, had a first workshop took place earlier this month. As a third priority, ITC also facilitates networking and dialogue amongst members. The Director General already mentioned the collaborative framework on critical material that is now fully operational with 3 working groups, and we'll have a side event to discuss progress and next steps during lunchtime tomorrow. Also, the Hydropower Conference was already mentioned as part of the activities of the collaborative framework Hydropower. Fourth, ITC also supports the establishment and implementation of a large number of MOUs and partnership agreements with private sector, and acts as a focal point for agencies in particular cases, such as, for example, for the World Economic Forum and World Bank, and we aim to deepen that cooperation. I also specifically want to mention the Global Offshore Wind Alliance. Together with the GWEC and Government of Denmark, there was a pre-launch at the UN General Assembly. Full launch will take place at the COP next month, with a drive aimed to grow offshore wind from around 60 gigawatts to 380 gigawatts by 2030. Now, to my 2 slides. One of the efforts in recent months has been better integration of the work across the agency. New roadmap for Southeast Asia has been developed in close cooperation with regional partners, was launched last month during the ASEAN Energy Ministerial meeting. This is supplemented with country-level roadmaps for Indonesia and Malaysia. Indonesia roadmap was launched last week in Jakarta together with the government. And this body of IRENA work was supported by the government of Denmark. So the insights of this work supported the IRENA Investment Forum. First IRENA Investment Forum was held in the sidelines of the G20 meeting in Bali, end of August. And many such integrated work, where we combine analytical work with a drive for implementation, will follow. 6 key messages for the ASEAN are that energy transition poses an important investment opportunity. Renewables is a key pillar. There's a need for $1 trillion of investments in ASEAN, $450 billion in Indonesia alone till 2030. And more than 250 gigawatts of renewable power is needed in an ASEAN context till 2030, including all forms of renewable power, while solar really jumps out longer term. The investment needs for renewables to 2030 are 2 to 3 times the levels seen in the last 2 years. So there's really a need to ramp up, and that needs to be complemented with enabling grids and flexibility, as well as efficiency and electromobility to make that transition happen. Interesting supply chain opportunities exist, for example, in battery and green materials manufacturing. So these are the highlights. As said, we launched Indonesia last week, and the government indicated that they will take these recommendations on board in their net zero roadmap. So this is a very brief overview of the work on innovation and technology, and allow me to hand over to Rabia Faruqi for the knowledge, policy and finance part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dolph. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As far as the work in KPFC is concerned, we continue to expand the global body of knowledge on the enabling conditions needed for a successful energy transition. This year, we published a number of reports to support policymakers in the design and implementation of policies and measures that are required to scale up the deployment of key technologies and solutions. For this year, you see the covers on the slide. It includes policies for the sustainable use of bioenergy, the third edition of a series guiding green hydrogen policy making that focuses on industry this time, policies and measures for decentralized solutions in the energy access context, and a guide targets which will be presented in a side event tonight at 6 p.m., followed by a cocktail reception. So we hope you'll join us to discuss the part of the enabling conditions for scaling up renewables. In all our policy analysis, we continue to develop a comprehensive approach that we showcase in most of our reports, looking really at the systemic transition that relies on structural change and the many interactions that the energy sector has with the economy, society, and planet, and that need to be considered when developing policies. The need for such an approach has been made even clearer in the current crisis that we have seen. IRENA's work has cautioned for several years now against the potential challenges that the energy transition can bring if the appropriate policy framework is not in place and if we don't address some of the system change that are required. This is particularly true lately in the power sector, which is at the heart of the transition, as we all know, and where misalignments between electricity procurement mechanism, regulations, and policies have led to many challenges. So our recent report on power system organizational structures highlights the need to go beyond the typical marginal fixes to the current structures and introduce systems changes in the power sector. So ultimately, we need a transition that works for people. And the required enabling framework goes beyond technical and market design questions and must also address social and economic aspects to ensure that some of the costly adjustments and disruptions are minimized and the benefits are widely shared. So we continue to work on key dimensions in this regard. For example, although our global analysis of the socioeconomic footprint of the energy transition was instrumental in shaping the narrative, it obviously was hiding also some of the regional and country level disparities. So our modeling has now expanded to translate the energy transition pathways into socioeconomic variables at the regional and national level. As mentioned by Dolph, at the regional level, we did the ASEAN study. We also published early this year the African Renewable Market Analysis, which provides also socioeconomic aspects of the transition. And at the national level, we have released a socioeconomic report or a footprint report, socioeconomic footprint report for Japan, Indonesia, and we're finalizing now in view of the COP, Egypt and South Africa. We continue to document developments in renewable energy jobs, as mentioned by the Director General in his remarks. And we have, as you know, started this a decade ago. And our analysis covers development in different segments of the value chain in key areas and regions and key renewable energy technologies, and shows the impact of different policies on the number, the types, and quality of jobs that are created. On gender, our latest analysis shows that women represent 40% of the global solar PV workforce. This is double the share in wind and higher than the average for renewables of 32%, which was based on a global study we did a few years ago. So we still have a long way to achieve gender equality, of course, and the report points to some of the policies required for engendering the energy transition. So attracting women in the sector is important also because we need to close the skills gap that exists in most countries in the energy transition related jobs. We continue our efforts to address the education and skilling gap. And at the COP, we will be launching a new global partnership with key actors in the field, such as UNESCO. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the world continues to face ongoing and new disruptions stemming from various crises, it is clear that our energy system is not fit for purpose. And so rather than mostly being reactive to different crises, and we might have others, we must proactively work towards systemic change now. Structural change is necessary if we're to succeed in bolstering our economies and avoiding the level of social disruptions we're seeing, and obviously this requires preparation in terms of policies and a holistic enabling framework. Thank you, and I give the floor now to my colleague, Gorbus Gönül.
Thank you very much, Rabia. Distinguished delegates, very good morning to everyone. I would like to focus on a couple of important work streams of the division's programmatic work that are highlighted by the recent high-level IRENA events. The first point is IRENA South Asia work. I think Rabia and Dolf, both of them, they already discussed a bit different dimensions of it. But the first ever investment forum took place in connection with the G20 Energy Transition Ministerial and co-hosted by the G20 Presidency of Indonesia. This high-level dialogue segment enabled an exchange towards strengthening the ability of decision makers to foster a strong enabling environment for energy transition-related investments. Our most recent energy transition outlooks for Southeast Asia and Indonesia informed the discussions by providing a long-term perspective to energy transition aligned with net zero ambitions and associated investment needs. Project stakeholders dialogue brought together project developers, investors, and financial community for a deep dive into how to effectively address project-specific risks. The parallel matchmaking sessions instituted dialogue among project stakeholders for facilitating finance over a predefined project pipeline from the region. And I'm sure Director Ahmet Bader will talk about that further. The forum also witnessed the launch of the Alliance for Industry Decarbonization with the adoption of the Bali Declaration, launched with 14 companies. Today, the Alliance has fast grown to 21 companies representing different industrial sectors that share a common vision for energy transition and a strong appetite to decarbonize their value chains. The second topic I want to talk about is geothermal energy. If we can move the slide also. Which is an established technology in use for more than a century, like hydropower, with continuing technology innovation, expanding interest on geothermal heat applications, and emerging end-use opportunities. Geothermal offers a much higher potential to become a crucial component of energy transition, not only for climate mitigation, but also for climate adaptation and fostering sustainable development. With this spirit, we have held the second high-level conference of the Global Geothermal Alliance last month, Thanks to our outstanding host, the government of El Salvador, and also technical partner, the International Geothermal Association. The San Salvador Declaration emphasized the key role of the alliance has played in enhancing dialogue, cooperation, and coordinated action within the sector, while also confirming its emerging priorities and strategic approach that reflect the recent trends and opportunities. We have consulted with the Alliance constituency on the way forward prior to the conference, and definitely what comes out is that there is a large room to expand the work in promoting the direct use applications and bring those viable options to the attention of policymakers to stimulate action on the ground. In doing so, we will bring the practitioners more and more into the alliance work that will help adequately capture the industry perspective. And IRENA's project facilitation platforms can also be more effectively used for geothermal investments. And on the final slide, a few words on our most recent country assessments and outlooks. Next slide, please. The renewable readiness assessments for Kyrgyzstan, Burkina Faso, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, together with the Malaysia Energy Transition Outlook, have been finalized, and they are waiting for their official launch shortly. Our work in Somalia, Sudan, and Chad ongoing, and we have very recently started also engaging with Honduras to undertake a similar assessment. We have also recently launched 3 cross-sectoral assessments: renewable electrification solutions for rural healthcare facilities in Burkina Faso and for agri-food value chains in Hindu Kush Himalayas, along with a guidebook for geothermal agri-food applications. But we will have a dedicated programmatic session on this topic tomorrow morning, so I leave the details to that discussion. One final highlight is the inaugural UN SITS Partnership Award, received by our SITS Lighthouses program, which acknowledges the agency's response to a call for action under the Samoa Pathway and addresses SITS' unique challenges in achieving sustainable development and implementing their commitments to the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much, and I pass the floor to my colleague, Ahmet Badr.
Well, good morning, and I wish you a good day today with the presentation. So we are continuing with the 2 business stream of the that IRENA has created to support building the robust pipeline of projects. So for the climate investment platform, to date, we reached more than 360 project application. Capitalizing on the ongoing effort of capacity building, helping countries to get to know how can we build this pipeline, the number of project past quality criteria to be ready for taking our technical assistance, the number have been increased to 175. That's really very good news because we basically built on what other divisions internally inside the house of IRENA, specifically Country Engagement Program and KBFC and IITC, to put more meaningful investment criteria to attract more foreign direct investment. The idea now is that with these 175 projects, we already got 47 projects that we provided immediate technical assistance to build investor-ready project, and we developed this project information document. This has led to have 33 projects now in the making for matching the interest of foreign direct investors, which already took place. It started with the investment forum, took place in Bali, and the second one will come in a couple of weeks. And then 22 already provided or attracted the interest of the foreign direct investors, and already project proponents get engaged with the foreign direct investors. We all know that this process is very lengthy, very complicated, very sensitive. Most of it has to be very, very confidential, which we do. And to this moment, 9 projects have been matched. We have hoped basically to announce some of them in Bali, but this has to be happen in a mutual agreement with the project developer and foreign direct investors or IFIs, but they were in some critical stage to finalize their board commitment. I have to thank government of UK in basically providing a couple of these projects in matching 6 ASEAN projects in Southeast Asia. These 9 projects we are talking about basically representing more than 240 megawatt in total sum of the projects, and is going to reach more than $550 million of investment. By the way, all of them are foreign direct investors, this is a very good news. And finally, upon completion and having these projects in commercial operation, they will save more than 2 million CO2 equivalent tons. I have to say that also this has happened because we increased the number of trusted financial partners, and I have to say that various financial closure have been happened, and we are going to announcing during next investment forum in Africa. Next slide, please. As basically explained by my colleague Gorbos Gonul, we basically, during Clean Energy Ministerial in Bali, we have launched the various matchmaking, capitalizing on the results we get from Climate Investment Platform. And actually, we have received more attraction from foreign direct investors and IFIs. And these projects, as I explained in the previous slide, have already covering 6 ASEAN countries. The good news also is that we have received more interest from local financiers and local banks to come and join the investment platform and to receive more support, meaning they are dedicating more resources to invest in their respective ASEAN countries. And this is really the impact that we are looking at. Next slide, please. For the ETAB platform, again, we have to highlight our great thanks to our anchor investor, which is Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, on behalf of Government of Emirates. And because of their pledge of $400 million that was announced during COP26, we created together with them the snowball effect. So now we are in a very advanced stage, approaching the closure, hopefully before COP27, with 2 NDBs. You might say, find here, it's 1 NDB. Actually, during past week, we have 1 NDB is coming to join very quickly. One of them is regional NDB, and the other one is international one. But because of confidentiality of such a kind of cooperation agreement we need to sign with them, we had to keep them as anonymous until we finalize the agreements. The other important issue is that, as you can see, that last June, we have signed or inked in the cooperation agreement with our anchor investor, which is Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, and we already signed the heads of terms, which is always the agreement that we had to sign with all large corporates, or was coming to sign, which is basically one of the top world-notch foreign direct investors. I mean, Masdar among basically BlackRock and Blackstone. Those are the top 3 ones as per the world records. And we are hoping that we finalize also this agreement during COP27, so that there will be 2 partners coming under UAE flag, plus the other 2 MDBs. We also have 1 final large corporates coming on de-risking guarantees, and we are also finalizing the agreement to be also announced hopefully in COP27. One final issue I have to say that within the COP27, when we have this institutional foundation, by having this all agreement to be signed, we were going to launch the Everest call for projects, mainly with our anchor investor, which is Abu Dhabi Fund for Development. That's basically the brief, and now I hand over to my colleague Abu Bakr Touré for Administration and Management Services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. Distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen, today I have the honor to present to you a few points regarding the administration and finance management of IRENA. I'm pleased on this first slide to inform you that our overall implementation rate of IRENA core budget for 2022-2023 as of 31st August was 35%, being on schedule for the reporting period. Next slide. This next slide highlights the receipt of $10 million of core non-assets contributions for the year 2022 from Germany and the United Arab Emirates as of 31st August 2022, representing 100% of the 2022 contributions. I'd like to thank the members for their support and timely payment. Next slide. This slide highlights the core assets collection status of the year 2022. We received 16.9 million USD in assets contribution as of 31st August 2022, or representing 75.45% of the 2022 assets contributions. We are very grateful to the members for their support. Next slide. This slide is about core staffing status, and this slide shows the core staffing status of with 87 posts filled, 12 under recruitment, and 6 positions vacant. As you can imagine, the past few years have been challenging with the recruitment due to the pandemic. I also would like to share with you that the filled position as of 31st August are comprised of 45% women and 55% men. With this, I will end the presentation on administration and finance. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you to the directors. I hope that this has given you a good sense of the work to date, and we look forward to your feedback. So thanks, and thanks to you, Chair.
Muy bien, le damos las gracias al director general. Y a los
I thank Director General and the directors for the presentations on the annual report for 2022-2023.